It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. This week I'm sitting down with Eight Faces, and you guys are probably one of the farthest bands we've had in a while. You're all the way from
Ashland City.
Ashland City. All right, but appreciate you guys taking the time to drive over and come talk to us. I say you guys, there's only a couple of you here tonight. You're actually normally about a four-piece, three-piece band?
Three-piece right now. Our bass player recently quit, but our drummer Ray, he couldn't make it out. He was having some problems with his arm, so.
Well, that's all right. We appreciate you guys coming. Let's introduce you and tell them your name and what you do in the band.
I'm Hunter. I play guitar.
I'm Willow, and I sing.
And how long have you guys actually been a band?
Coming up on a year now.
So who started this?
It goes way back to elementary school, like from a talent show. Like that's how me and Hunter originally met. And then eventually over the years, he finally contacted me, was asking if we wanted to jam sometime. And eventually that turned into what it is now.
So you guys were at the same school then and then split apart? Or because you said then he contacted you, so...
Basically, we just met the one time and didn't really think much of it at the time. But then, as time progressed and we both kept doing stuff, we both kept hearing each other's name and stuff like that. And then I eventually picked up the phone and
then you ended up with Eight Faces.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's an interesting name. I will ask you where that comes from, but I think we'll do that a little bit later. I'm more interested in, you started out with a guitar?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been playing it?
About 2 years solid, right about now.
Okay, well, 2 years solid, and I've seen some of your videos you guys have up online. Actually, there's a nice little video of you doing your version of a Pink Floyd solo.
Yes, sir.
Nothing wrong with that. That's a good influence.
Yeah.
You guys don't really lean towards the classic rock side as much with your music, though. You're more genre of heavy metal?
Yeah, hard rock. Yeah, that sort of genre.
I am going to point out to everyone, because you can't see it through the radio, but they are sporting Pantera shirts. So there's a lot of pride up in the room. Yeah. And so you guys, see, those are some of your background influences, I'm guessing. They range from classic rock to heavier rock. Is that how you decided on where the band was going to go, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we all listen to just all over the board. I mean, I love anything from like Buddy Guy to Pantera and, stuff like that. I mean, it's just all across the board.
What about you, Willow?
Well, my dad's actually in a band, and so I've grown up around rock and hard rock and metal and all that. So that's where I get a lot of my influence from.
Sidna, what about pop influences? Do those come into play sometimes?
Not really for me. I don't really have like any kind of like influence from like any celebrities or anything. It's mainly just my dad.
You guys have decided, of course, what your genre is going to be, what you're going to be making, and we've got some of your songs we're going to talk about tonight. In fact, how about if we start off by telling them about one of your tunes, Before Their Eyes. Who wrote that?
Me and my dad wrote the lyrics, and Hunter wrote the music.
Yeah. Is that how most of your songs come about?
Yeah, pretty much. Normally it starts with a riff I have or something that's caught my ear, and I develop it into what I think it'd be a good song, and I'll bring in Willow, and she'll get most of what she can get, or if she's having some trouble with it, she'll,
So, the lyrics, where do they come from?
Well, they're mainly about a girl who, is growing up, and over time, she's discovering who she is, basically, and she's doing that in front of people, and that can be hard sometimes, but towards the end of the song, she's finally who she wants to be and where she's at in life.
All right. Well, this is Before Their Eyes. It's Eight Faces, the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7, going with a little bit on the metal flavor tonight, as we've got Eight Faces, a little bit of a drive for you guys, hailing from around Ashland City. And where do you normally play at?
Anywhere we can get a show. It's kind of hard because of our age sometimes, but we've got a show coming up April 23rd at Exit Inn that should be really, really good.
Okay, so you do get some good bookings at some point. You mentioned it has to do with your age sometimes. I didn't allude to that, but you guys are probably one of the younger bands.
Yeah, we're all under 18, so.
So that probably makes it a little bit too difficult for gigs. Do you just, who does the booking for you?
My dad and the guy who used to own the Rutledge in Nashville, Andy, he's helped us out a little bit too. Really nice of him.
With that in mind, do you find yourself playing to crowds that maybe are not necessarily in your age group, or?
Yeah, most of the time it's always older than we are, which is kind of a good feeling, though.
I was going to ask, does that put pressure on you? Do you feel like, oh, I better be up to standard?
I mean, we're always kind of playing in front of older people, so you get used to it.
I actually kind of prefer the more adult crowd. It's a lot less pressure, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So the younger crowd puts a little bit more in. How do you see it that way?
Well, adults, they're easier to talk to. A lot of kids, kids can be shy sometimes and don't want to come up and talk to you. And so it's easier to get with them older bands than it is with the younger bands sometimes.
And does that come into play in your music too, as far as how you relate it? Do you find yourself writing older?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I guess that comes back to what we talked about earlier, your influences in the rock and the metal scene. So having been around that for so long kind of comes into play into the whole songwriting aspect. So you guys met once, came back together and decided we're going to have a band. What was that like as far as first time performing together?
It was different. We both had never really played with anybody else other than family, really, and it was really different, but in a good way. So
Yeah. It was just kind of awkward at first, and then eventually you get comfortable with it, and it gets easier.
So is criticism between the two in a helpful fashion? Do you just kind of go, that sounds great, but you know what would really work?
Sometimes we go a little overboard, but we all know it's in good fun. So
combining the forces like you do, you said one side kind of comes up with the music side, and the other side comes up with the lyrics and things. The other member that's not here, how does he fit into it, Ray?
He's pretty much been my writing partner since he came into the band. He came in a little later than when me and Willow got together, but ever since then he's helped me write some stuff, or me and him will I'll be playing a riff and he'll jump behind the drums and we'll work something out, and it always works really well.
How often do you guys actually get out and play?
2-3 times a month. So
Yeah, shows are starting to become more frequent now, and it's awesome.
Well, at this point, you guys have about 3 or 4 songs together that are online that people have access to. And I think you're working on new material. You've got plans for an album?
those 4 songs are going to be included on the album. We'll probably make it around 8 or 9 songs.
Of course, at this time, I think we mentioned as we opened the show that you're down 1 member, so you're looking to get a bassist to kind of replace that. So I'm going to guess that's probably put everything on hold for now.
We've got a replacement, so it's...
Yeah, my dad's filling in for shows and stuff. So
you do have a fill-in for now, so it's not sidelined you too bad. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, we'll talk a little bit more about your recording plans, what you've got coming up, as we continue on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. Each week we have somebody else in to talk with, and this week we've got some long travelers with us. 8 faces from around the Ashland City area. You guys, relatively new band. You said you've been together for about a year?
Yeah.
Have you already had your 1-year anniversary? Or?
Yeah, it was late January, so it's been a couple months.
How did you celebrate your anniversary?
Played a show.
Yep.
I was going to say, if you said we sat at home and did macrame for the night, that would not have been the right answer. So you guys went out and played a show, and you've played a few gigs. I think you said you play about 3 times a month. If you get the opportunity, you're trying to get out and perform. So do you find that as something that's helping your band to grow as far as getting more live performances?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it gets more people listening and gets more people interested in what we're doing.
When you started out, you said your dad did rock. You were always kind of around that. So when did you foster the whole I'm going to sing thing?
From a very young age, I've always loved singing. I've always done talent shows and sung in county fairs and stuff. And like around last year was the time I was like, I want to do something with this.
All right. Who was your inspiration as far as do you have anybody that you look to specifically as far as a singer?
Not really. Like, I look up to people like different bands and stuff, but nothing like, I don't know how to explain it. I mainly just look up to my dad. He's the one.
I didn't know if you had maybe somebody that you look towards for vocal experience as far as I want to sing in that style, or?
No. I've heard I'm pretty unique, so I don't think I really look to anybody.
Well, I would agree. It kind of comes through in your songs and your guitar playing. What about you? Do you have anybody that you... I know you've got the Pink Floyd thing that we talked about earlier.
There's so many. Dimebag from Pantera, Hendrix, Buddy Guy, Joe Walsh is a big one. Love the Eagles. Those are some of the big ones.
When you guys have been playing together for about a year now, and you've gone out and done your performances, what's the farthest you've gone for a performance?
Actually, this past show we did for Lymphoma, it was in Lebanon, and that's a pretty good haul from where we live.
Kind of like this was a good haul.
Yeah, a little bit.
Where is it you guys are wanting to get to? Do you have plans to take part in anything? As far as band competitions, I think I saw something on your website about a battle that you've got coming up.
Vans Warped Tour on the internet. I think it's on our Facebook page. You can go check it out.
I was going to say, I saw something that you had up there about you're trying out for the Vans Warped, and people can go actually vote through your Facebook page to where you have a chance to be a part of that. Now, did you just send in music for that, or?
Yeah, you can just submit yourself, and it's up for vote, like you said, so it's all on the fans.
And you guys do have a pretty good online presence, so they can go check that out on there and send them to 8facesband.com is where it pulled up for me. Is that?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's the right website. So, and it links through to Facebook, your other social media. You guys on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay, so you can find them on there, and then I'm sure you're on Reverb Nation.
Yep.
A couple of the others, the band sites like that. Mm-hmm. So far the 4 songs up there, and they can listen to them through that. They can download them through that. In fact, why don't we talk about another one of those songs before we play it? Enough of It. Nice little rockin' feel to it. Where did that one come from? Was there somebody you're mad at that you were like, oh, I've had enough of you, or?
Yeah. I'm not gonna name any names, but like it's just for those people that want to get their anger out, and that's what it does for me. Gets any stress or anger out.
Where did the melody come through on this one?
Same deal. Just kind of had a riff that I was messing around with, and thought, hey, sounds like a good song to me. And me and Ray worked it out, and now it's a tune. So
now Ray, of course, not being here, the drummer for your band, how does he fit into the writing? I know you said that you two have been together and you've written a lot of stuff. Does he kind of veto some of what you're doing and go, man, I can't work that on the drums. What are you doing?
Every now and then, it's very rare, but there's every now and then he gets a little picky in what he likes to do.
Well, I'm going to guess he wasn't too picky on this one, so why don't we listen to it? It's Enough of It. It's 8 Faces on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7, and this week sitting down with 8 Faces. We've listened to a couple of your songs, and send them online, tell them where they can go, 8facesband.com, and kind of hear some of your songs. You guys are in the process of working on new material. You've got 4 songs so far. And I think you said 8, 9 songs maybe?
Yeah, 8, 9 songs. I guess record, you can say. It'll be out soon. We've got 3 recorded that we haven't released, and a couple more on the way, so it should be finished here pretty soon.
Record fits perfect because vinyl's made a comeback, so now we can get back to saying record. Get rid of this whole disc nonsense and go back to records. But where are you recording at?
It's at a very good friend's house named Chris Love. He's working with big-time artists like Alexander King and stuff like that. He's really starting to pop off, which is good. But he's a really good friend of mine.
Being in the studio versus being live, has it been a challenge for you kind of going, okay, we've got to try this differently?
Yeah, it's always really different, especially with the atmosphere of the song. You get this vibe, if you will, when you're playing it live that just isn't always there when you're recording, which isn't a bad thing, but sometimes it can reflect on the song.
Like, I can't have people in the room whenever I record, because it's, I don't know, I just find it awkward, so I have to
Really?
put people out. Yeah.
So you banish everyone out of the studio so you can get your part done. So,
yes.
Well, I was getting ready to ask if you guys played in the same room or if they put you off in separate rooms.
Most of the time, guitars, drums, and bass are done together. It's then we'll go back and record vocals.
Is it a longer process for you doing the vocals? Or?
I don't think so. I think it's the same amount of time, just do it a couple times, choose the best one, and go with it.
You don't want to overanalyze it and make it perfect. Like a lot of people nowadays, you lose that human element.
So there's none of that whole reanalyzing 5 times and deciding we're going to add this and change this. It's basically go in and record it like we wrote it and go from there. How often do you practice before you hit the studio?
More now that we play shows than we used to. Where we're having trouble booking, it would be we'd come up with a new song, play it several times through in practice, and then go and record it. Now it's like we'll play it a couple times live and get really comfortable with it, and then go and record it, which really helps with the recording process.
Yeah,
So
playing
we
it
put in an
live.
entry for the Vans Warp thing. We've done that. Where do you want to go from here?
Just keep making music, keep gaining fans. That's all.
Do you have plans to maybe try and get a summer tour going, or?
Maybe around the local Nashville area.
So none of this, I'm going to throw everything in a van, spend about 3 weeks out on the road and see what happens. We're not quite there yet, huh?
Not
this year.
Yeah, not this year, but hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Is that a scary concept, or is that an exciting concept? Do you look at that and go, I'm up for that challenge, or do you look at it and go, let's just keep that one right where it's at?
Oh, I'd be on tour now if I could, but school and being young is.
I'd say a mixture of both, but mostly exciting. Like, it's really exciting to be able to travel and see all this different stuff that you normally wouldn't get to see if you weren't.
Well, you guys are online. I'm going to send it back to your website, 8facesband.com. They can find you on Facebook. You guys put your shows up there, and you've got some coming up in April, and they need to go support you. Go to your Facebook page and do the whole Vans Warp thing.
Yes, sir.
That's how you get in on that. So actually, that's kind of cool. I'm hoping you guys make it into the battle for that. All right, well, I appreciate you coming in to speak with us this evening, and thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7.